Well, good morning, everyone, and good afternoon. I'm residing here from Spokane, Washington, and I know we got many others residing on the East Coast. So welcome, everybody, to our Evidence on Q 101 webinar. This is really, I have to say, something we haven't done for a while, and we can tell from the pent-up demand of how many people registered for this webinar. We were just talking before this started, we believe we have the greatest attendance ever, and so we're very excited to offer this class. It's going to provide a ton of information that's going to be valuable for each of you. If you've been someone that's used EvidenceOnQ for a long time, or if you're new to it, you're going to get a lot of great information from it today. So we're thankful you're here, we're glad you're here, and we're going to be giving you some of those essentials of the power of the system, because it is got a lot of capabilities that some of you may not be aware of, and so that's what we're going to show to you today. A little bit of housekeeping about this class today is you are muted. We have hundreds of agencies, so it's very difficult to have you on verbally, but we are going to give you an opportunity to ask questions because we know you're going to have questions. So through your GoToWebinar interface, you can submit questions to us. We encourage you to submit those at any time. We're going to do our best to answer those. We have a team here that's going to be able to text reply, and then we're also going to take some of those questions verbally. And if there's anything we don't address, we'll follow up with you after the webinar, do our best. If you don't hear from us, feel free to reach out at any time, because we really do want to help you and empower you to use our software really well, because your job is important and we want to help you to do your job with excellence. So, and one more thing is you're going to get a lot of information today. So since you are, this webinar is going to be recorded. About 24 hours or so after the webinar has been completed, you will receive an email from us with a link to the webinar, so you can watch it and review anything that you may have missed or something you just wanted to review to learn again. So stay tuned for that. Watch your email. If you don't see it from us, be sure to check your spam. Sometimes our emails go into spam. It's just the way it is. So I would say if you don't see an email by end of day tomorrow, you're going to want to do that. So that is it on that. And then the last thing I want to do is present to you our presenter today. I'm sure some of you know Shannon. She's been with our company since 2004. She's been here a long time. And Shannon has a tremendous background in law enforcement. She began her career in 1981 for a criminal defense law firm. And then in 1984, she was hired at the Benton County Prosecutor's Office and spent 11 years there. And then she moved on to work in evidence positions, and she did that for over 10 years. And then she's been with EvidenceOnQ, like I said, since 2004, training, teaching, educating people on using and doing best practices in their property rooms. One thing I really appreciate and value about Shannon is she truly has a passion for this. She's been where you are. She understands your struggles, and she really has a way of providing great information and really empowering you to understand how our software can help you, but also how you can just feel confidence in what you do. And that's what she's going to do today in this training. So it's my pleasure to introduce Shannon. So Shannon, if you're there, hopefully you're there. Yep, you're there.
I'm here. Wow, where'd you get that picture? Whew.
Wow, I know. Isn't that great?
If you take all those years that Craig mentioned and you add them up, it equals old. So there you go. Thank you for that really sweet introduction. I really appreciate that. Would you like me to show my screen and get started?
Yeah, I'm going to pass this over to you right now, Shannon.
Okay.
Thank you. You can get started.
Awesome. All right. Okay. Oh, I didn't know I had all that stuff up. Sorry. You read all my emails, and that's interesting. Come on, go away, go away. There we go. Okay. So welcome, everybody. I appreciate you joining us today. You know, Craig was saying that, you know, the system can do so much. One of the things that I think makes me the saddest is that when I find out that agencies have EvidenceOnQ, but they're not really using it to its fullest capability. And I tell people, you know, you have a Ferrari and you have only gotten it out of first gear, you know. You need to take that puppy on the highway and go for it. So the people who are joining us today, some of you are veterans, you have used the system for a really long time. Others are brand new, like Tina from Wenatchee. They just went live last week, and so she's still learning. Hey, Tina. And some of you may, maybe you were not working at your department when your system was implemented, and then you took over but didn't really get a whole lot of training, so you've been kind of hunting and pecking and trying to figure it out. So today we're going to go through some of the basics. Now, like Craig said, we're going to cover a lot of information. And for those of you who know me, I get really excited about this and I start talking really fast and I'm like a chihuahua on meth. So I'm really going to try to slow it down a little bit. But like he said, it'll be recorded and we're even going to have it on our website so you can go back to it anytime and you can pause and make notes and everything. So the first thing that I want to do is, I'm assuming you can all see my screen well. You're looking at this and going, that does not even look close to what my screen looks like. And you know why? Because every agency that uses the system gets to decide what this screen looks like. We call it your profile screen. And I would guarantee if you guys all compared, everyone's is different because everybody has different needs, different verbiage. You'll see up here, mine says case number. In California, you call it DR number, summer event number. That if it's a court who's using it, it might be called cause number. So don't panic because this is the one that I put together for me. Now, another thing that I want you to know is if by chance you took over for somebody else and they already had the EvidenceOnQ system, and you're looking at this profile screen going, this doesn't make sense. Why is this field named this? Or why is this here? I wish it was over here. One thing you might not be aware of is you can make changes to this profile screen. So maybe there's a field that you wish you had and you don't. Then you can add a field. Maybe you don't like the name of it, rename it. If you want it to be in a different spot, then you can drag it into a different location. If you're like, we do not use this field, you can either hide it or delete it. So I won't go into the details. I think that would be a really good webinar topic, is how to use the profiler. But just to let you know that any of this can change if you want it to, all right? Like for example, maybe yours, you don't have, here in the bottom right, you don't have all the denominations. Maybe the officers are just putting in what the total is. If you want to add the denominations, we can do that too. So reach out to us and say, I have some changes I'd like to make. Talk me through the profiler and how to do that, okay? The next thing, if you're looking up here at my toolbar, you might think that is not what my toolbar looks like. You can customize your toolbar. Each person can have their own. And I want to talk you through very quickly how to do that. So if you're like, well, I always have to go down to file and then I have to go to custom queries and then I go to here and I lose my mouse and then I have to do it again. Or I always have to go up to reports and down to external reports and find the one I'm looking for. I'm all about saving clicks. So just put a shortcut on your toolbar. I'll show you how to do that. Anywhere up here on your toolbar, you just right click. And the key is you click on Customize. Once you have this Customize box open, now you can make changes. My apologies, I spent January pretty much incapacitated with pneumonia, and I still have an occasional coming out of me, so apologies for that. So now when your Customize box is open, you can now do anything you want to do with this toolbar. So let's say, for example, you want to have, you don't want your audit on the screen. So I'm just going to take my show audit and I'm going to just drag it off. Okay. And then maybe you want to put your name list because you use it all the time. Let's put it up here. Maybe you want to put your browse over here. You can move it around. let's say that you have something you want to add to your toolbar because you use it all the time. Like one of my favorite features is query by scan, or you might call it scan a group. So I'm going to go to the commands. Over here on the left, this list right here is what is going across here. So if you knew, oh, I have to go to the file menu and down here, then you would click on your file menu. Over here is what's in the drop downs, right? So I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to find the one that says query by scan. And I'm going to highlight it. Then I'm going to drag it up to where I want it to be on my toolbar. So I'll just put it right there. Now, when you let go, it just puts the icon there. But if you want the words beside it, with the customize box still open, if you right click on it, you click on image and text, and it puts it there. Now, query by scan, you're like, what does that mean? I like to call mine scan a group. You can call this anything you want to on the toolbar. So when you right click on it and you go to the name, I'm going to call this scan a group because that's what makes sense to me. And I've seen many of you how you rename it for what makes sense in your brain, right? If you have certain reports, maybe you're going to make a whole bunch of, let's say you're going to make a bunch of locations one day. So instead of having to go to data locations, come up here, go to data, and then put your locations up here on the toolbar. And then after you've made all your locations, you can go back and customize it and you can drag it off your toolbar. Okay. Another thing too is the custom queries. I'm hoping that you have a lot of them and you use them all the time. Let me show you a quick way to put those on your toolbar. I'll actually drag this off really quick. So if you come down to the menus, see how it says custom queries? I'm going to just drag that up and I'm going to put it over here. And then now it's there. So it saves you a few clicks. You can just go to custom queries. And when you click on it, it gives you your categories. If you're using our newest version, this is what it looks like. If you're using something older, it's probably a really long list of all the names of the queries. So in this new version, you just have the categories and then you hover over it and it shows you all of the queries that you have in that category. Now, another thing too is if you're from a bigger agency and you have different divisions, like I know at LAPD, they have, I'm going to say about 30 different categories. And some of the people there, they're like, I don't care about any of the categories except for these two. And I hate having to scroll through everybody else's. Let me show you how you can choose what displays on your computer. If you go up to Tools and you come down to Options, and then you click on Queries. So here is where you get to choose what queries appear. So maybe you just want those. So then when I come back to my custom queries, it just has those and you don't have to worry about scrolling past others that you don't care about, okay? All right, enough of that. I'm going to start with, like I said, this webinar is EvidenceOnQ 101. This is the kindergarten of using EvidenceOnQ. We're going to start with the basics, which is scanning, using your barcode. I did a demo yesterday in person for 5 different agencies. They had about 20 people there. And every single one of them said, yeah, we have scanners, but they don't work. So we have to do everything manually. So let's start with how the barcode scanning works. I'm going to take my barcode scanner and I'm going to scan this gun right here. And this tells me all the information about the gun. Okay. You can see the information, you can see where it is, etc. Now, I realize this says release to owner, apologize. Actually, I'll find something that's in. There we go, that's in the handgun vault. So if I scan a barcode, the only thing the system is thinking about is that one item. Okay, so if you look down in the bottom right, it says 1 of 1. I scanned the barcode and it brought that record up. And I can look at it and do what I need to do with it. Now, if let's say that I wanted to put this on the rifle rack. All I have to do is scan the barcode that says rifle rack. So I'm going to scan that, and I want you to watch right up here above this blue line. I'm going to scan rifle rack. So all I did was scan one item, and then I scanned where I want it to go. Let's scan another thing. Let's say I've got this money right here, and I want that to go on shelf 12. So I scan shelf 12, and it puts it there. Now you'll notice I'm not even touching my keyboard. I'm scanning one item at a time, and then I'm scanning where I want it to go. However, when you're doing your intake and you're putting stuff away, it's not usually one item here, one item there. You've got your pile of stuff, right? So let's say that you wanted to put several items in the same location. So I'm going to scan my handgun shelf, or let's go gun room shelf 1. And I'm going to scan these guns right here. I'm going to put these on gun room shelf 4. So the key is you scan from your screen that is clear, because if you had a record up and you scanned a location, it would put it there, right? So you want to clear your screen, and you can do that by either hitting the clear button. My personal favorite is just hit the escape key on your keyboard. It's very therapeutic to just hit that key. So you could scan all the items that go on the shelf, scan the location and the items, and you put them there. Now, let's say you're, though, doing your intake, and you have all sorts of piles that are going to go in all sorts of places, right? So I am going to, let's go scan let's see here. We're going to go to shelf A1, okay? And then say, I want to put all these guns on shelf A1. Now I'm going to go over to the gun shelf. Oh, no. Get your act together, Shannon. Let's go to the freezer. And I think these are already there. Yeah, it tells me. This sexual assault kit's already there. So we're going to pretend that these are like a sexual assault kit, and it's actually money, but it's going in the freezer. So it's going to be cold, hard cash, right? Then now let's go over to the safe, and I want to put this jewelry in the safe. And oops, I'm going to scroll down here a little bit more for you. There we go. And then let's also put some more money in the safe. Yeah. Now let's go over to, I'm going to say this is shelf A1, and I'm going to put these items on shelf A1. So you can see I'm just scanning a location. I'm scanning and I put them there. Now I go to the next location and I scan that location and the next items. And you can just do all of this in one fell swoop. I'm going to take that one off. And then if you're using a barcode scanner that is communicating live with your PC, it's going to make this list on the screen. And in fact, I will come back here and say, I didn't want to put money in the freezer. Let's get rid of that one. And then you can review it, and then you can click on OK, and they're there. Okay, so you scan one item, you go, I just want to put it somewhere. Okay, I'm going to put it right there, and you're done, and then go put it away. But if you have multiple items that go in the same location, the key is clear screen, scan the location first, and then scan all the items that are going there. Okay, there you go. Let's talk a little bit more about scanning. So when you release something to somebody, you are using your barcode scanner. So if, let's say that they're at your release counter, you've got your computer, your signature pad, etc. The thing that is key with transferring something with a signature is you always start from a clear screen. Sometimes people will call me and go, okay, I've got this item up on the screen, but I can't click on transfer with signature. That's because you need to start from a clear screen, and I'll explain why. So transfer with signature. First, you scan where are these items going. So let's scan, say, release to owner. Now you're going to scan several items that you might be releasing to the owner, okay? And then you explain why you're releasing it to the owner. Oh, maybe it's because the case is closed. And you've got these reasons right here. You can always add a new reason. You could put in a comment. So let's say release order on file. Oh, I know how to spell. No co-defendants, case over, something like that. We did one yesterday. She had a great big sticky on it and it said, really stinky. So now I'm going to put the name of the owner. We'll click on Shannon. If you want to have a receipt, you can leave this check mark right here where it says print a receipt. If you don't want a receipt, you can take it off. So I will click on transfer. Now this enables your signature pad, and it would then light up and say file on Q on it. So then the person signs their name and it takes this signature and it attaches it to the chain of custody of each one of these items that I just scanned. So we're going to click on accept. And then here's just an example of what your property sheet would look like. And I hate to tell you this, but everybody's receipt does say San Diego Police Department on it. So you'll just have to, I'm just kidding. Yours has your logo and that kind of thing on it. Okay, so now I would like to take a quick breather. Chad, do we have any questions that are urgent right now that you want me to address based off of these topics?
Not yet. And
okay.
Just FYI, there is a comment question section. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to send them our way.
Okay, super. Thanks. Okay, now we're going to go. Let's talk about. Oh, I want to go into the location. So I'm going to go to this gun right here. You want to see where it currently is. So up here above the blue line under current location, it's on the gunroom shelf 4. It was put there on February 6, 10:17 a.m. by Shannon Turner. If you want to see really quickly at a glance all the places it has been, if you come over to this little icon right here and you click right there, this is going to tell you all the different places that it's been, okay? Now, if you were, let's say you were going through an audit and there was some kind of discrepancy and the person doing the audit said, I need to know everything that has ever happened with this record. If you go up, oh, I had it on my toolbar and I took it off. If you go up to view and you come down to show audit, you can also put it on your toolbar. This tells you everything that has ever happened to this record. So this thing's been a lot of places in the last couple of days. This tells you who created it and when. Every time a barcode was printed, when it was transferred, any time of edit that was made. So in fact, I'm going to do really quickly show you, this is not a Glock 22, this is a Glock 19, and it's not a 40 caliber, it's a 9mm. There it is. And these last is not 8.9, it's actually 3.3, okay? So let's go back to that audit trail. And I am going to, it shows that I have an edit, and here's the date and the time and that I made the change. And then across here, it shows you the name of the computer that was used, the IP address, and it also shows you the name of the person who logged in as the Windows user. This, one thing to remember is this audit trail is unalterable. Nobody can go back and change this. If you want to see what Shannon Turner did, you click on Show Details. And this shows that she modified the caliber, model, and serial number fields. Here's the old value, and here's the new value. So if you have to testify in court about your chain of custody, your audit trail, you can tell them it is completely unalterable. it's immediately date and time stamped. A person can't, you know, tweak that date and time, and this is set in stone. Okay. Now, this audit trail, though, this is not something you're going to provide to your prosecutor, and a defense attorney does not need to know this. They do not need to know every time a barcode was printed or every time an edit was made. That would basically open up the chain of custody Pandora's box, right? And subpoena everybody in the world. So the thing that the prosecutor needs to know is, where has it been? That's your chain of custody, is the places it's been. So you're going to click on your chain of custody form, and then this is the official chain of custody that you would provide them. And you can print that, or you can even export this and save it as a PDF. So if, let's say, the DA's office called you and said, you know, I need the chain of custody for all the items in this case. So you search for the case number. There's only 3, but I click on chain of custody, and then see you've got your chain of custody for each one of them. Save it as a PDF and send it to them. You don't have to do them individually. Okay. Now let's go through how to find stuff. Okay. You've all heard probably a lot of you have heard my little scenario about when I was working in property and evidence. The phone would ring and I would answer it and I'd say, "Evidence, this is Shannon." And then there would be this very awkward silence on the other end. And I'd hear this, "You have my stuff and I want it back." And then that's all they give you, right? They don't know the case number. They don't remember the date or the name of the officer. Sometimes they don't remember what name they were using that day. You know, it's a challenge. So let's go through all the different ways you can find things. First of all, like I said, every field on this screen is searchable. If they have the case number, oh, wonderful. You just put in the case number, and now I'm just hitting the enter key on my keyboard, okay? There's only 3 items in this case, but let's take a look at those 3. And this shows me, oh, 2 were released to the owner and 1's on the gunroom shelf, okay? However, not everybody who calls has the case number. They rarely have the case number. What if they called and said, I lost my purse. A second here. I lost my purse last weekend. It was a red Coach purse. Have you had any turned in? Okay. Well, let's see. We know that the property type was found property, and then we also know that the item type was a purse. Now, if I just searched for a found property purse, it's going to give you every found purse you've ever had. But let's say I only want the ones, because last weekend was in February, right? So I only want the ones that were collected in February of 2025. And let's say you've had several come in and they got returned to the owner and everything. Come up and look, use your location category, say, I only want the ones that are in. That will narrow down what you still have, right? Let's say you are looking for, you know it was collected by Bruce Adams, and then you know it was on a homicide, you know it was a firearm, and then you also know it was a Glock. I hit enter. Oh, there's 8 of them. Let's take a look at those 8. There you go. Okay, and then you could sort by any of these, like where they are, the case number, who the owner is, that type of thing. You can also use your asterisk key, the Shift 8, as a wildcard. So let's say that you know it was a 24 case. So I'm going to go 24 asterisk. The asterisk is the part you don't know. So you know it begins with 24. I do know the owner is Turner, okay? And her name starts with SH. I don't know how to spell it, so I'm just going to go begins with SH. You can even, well, we'll just try that. Oh, look at 15 of them. I'm one of those frequent flyer victims. So now I click on browse and I can see where they are. It's great for serial numbers, So I'm going to go to the serial number. There it is. Let's say it ends with 33. Ends with 33, and I hit enter, and I've got 14 that end with 33, and I can click on browse and figure out which ones they are. You could also do it for contains. So I know that in the description it contains the word broken. So I'm going to go asterisk, broken, asterisk, and I only want the stuff that is in, and then I only want the guns that have the word broken that are in. So now I hit enter. One thing people forget a lot is to use your location category to help you find things. So if you said, I'm just looking for the found property that's, or you could even use it for, I need all my firearms that are in. Say your chief says, hey, Tina, how many guns do we have? Just go firearms and use the location category of in. And now it says you have 111. Okay. I came from an agency where our population, we had a lot of hyphenated last names. And sometimes they come in differently on different days, right? So I am under my suspect's last name. I'm going to go asterisk hyphen asterisk. Now it gives you all of the suspects that have hyphenated last names, right? You can use the checkbox. Oh, here's another one that sometimes people forget about. I want to know any record we have in here that that there's something in the serial number. So it's like, ooh, how do I find a record that has a serial number? I'm going to do this. I'm going to go asterisk, question mark, asterisk. So when I hit enter, it's going to give me every record that has a serial number in it. Of course, you can use a custom query too, but that's a nice way of being able to do that. I would say that 90% of the time, you are going to find what you're looking for based off this profile screen. Just mix and match and you'll find it. However, let's look at other ways to search the system. If you go up to your file menu, here's all your other ways to query. I want to query by current location. So this gives you a list of all your locations. So you could sort by the code, maybe you want to sort it alphabetically. I want to know everything in the fridge or the freezer. I was working with Tina last week on labeling all of her locations, and we would search for, a location at a time and then print all the labels. So all you do is just choose them, okay? You can also search, oops, sorry, here we go. Query by home location. Some of you use home location and others do not. Just putting this out here that you can search by home location. That might be a more extensive topic in another webinar. This was one that people forget about a lot. This is a shortcut to querying by date ranges. So the last edit date. If you know, oh, this was a gun and I remember I changed the serial number and it was the day that I had the doctor's appointment. So you go, oh, I know I edited something on February 6th. Let's look at the stuff that I edited. Oh, it was just me today. Back to the date ranges. I use this one a lot. Created. So I want everything that was put into the system between, this date and this date or on a very specific date. You can also say transfer. I need everything that I transferred. And then after those three, it then has every single date field on your profile. So if you wanted, I'm looking at the date collected. I want to know everything collected between these dates. This is just a real quick shortcut for searching by date ranges, but you can do it in a lot in more detail, that's the word, by using your custom queries. You can, this is the one that I said is query by scan, and that's the one I put up here on my toolbar. I called it scan a group. So when I was at my police department, I went and I pulled a whole bunch of stuff, and here it is in a pile, and it didn't really have anything in common, but I needed to send a letter. And it didn't really make sense to go, okay, scan this one item, now do my letter. Scan another item, do my letter. So they came up with this called query by scan. So I've got all my stuff here in front of me, and I need to put this into a group. It means none of this has anything in common. I couldn't bring it back with a query, but it has a common goal. Maybe the common goal is I need to send a letter. Maybe the goal is I need to put it into an Excel sheet, or I need to transfer it to pending auction or something like that. So when I click on query, now I've got all these 11 items. Okay. Now I say send my letter, and oh, some of them didn't have an owner in there. It's going to sort out who owns what in which case. So you don't even have to do it one case at a time. Just scan them all, and it's going to, sorry, Chad, I used your name on here. It's going to address, so Chad only had one item in this case, but Shannon, look at all the stuff she's got in this case. So then just print them out, and then you could go use your batch update. This is a list of all the fields that are on your profile screen over here. And I want to update all 11 of them to say I sent the letter today. So I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to click on my letter sent. It was today. I'm going to add that to the list of things to change. So I tell the system I'm changing 11 of them. Bloop, there we go. And then see down here on the bottom right, it says the letter was sent on February 6th of 2025. That starts the time running, because I have a custom query that says, show me all my letters I sent over 30 days ago that they haven't claimed. Woohoo! Okay, back to searching. Let's go to query by scan, query by notes log. So I hope that you're using your notes and you have your different topics. So you can search by any subject and then also by any person. I'm the only person who works in my database, but as people add notes, you'll have more and more people in this list. So maybe you say it was an evidence note and I know it was made by Shannon Turner, and you just hit search. Or you could narrow it down and say, but I know that it was on February 5th of 2025. Because I know I did that one yesterday. And in the entry, you could type order. Now, if it's only going to look for something that has just that word order in it. So you would want to use your asterisk key, contains the word order, right? And I'm going to hit search, and I can't even remember what I did yesterday. Let's try this one more time. Really? Okay. Yeah, I know I did it, but never mind. Maybe I used a different topic. Oh, actually, let's do this. I'll take out the topic, and it'll just say anything entered by Shannon Turner yesterday. There we go. There's my 23 items. And then you can click and see them, okay? Also, see how I'm just using the arrows up here? You can click on the notes and then just go from record to record to record to see them. Okay, back to searching. We can also search by text. So this is something fairly new in the last handful of years or so. Let's say that you have searched the system and you're like, I cannot find what I am looking for. So click on query by text, and it asks you, do you want to search all the text fields on your main profile? Do you also want to search all the comments and notes? How about any of the documents that you put into eDocs and you put in some keywords and document explanation? Or would you want it to look in the name and the comments in the when you've transferred things and checked them out? Remember how I did that one that said release order on file, really stinky? So again, I'm going to use my asterisk for contains. Let's just say I'm looking for anything that contains the word Turner, and it's going to look in all of those. Click on preview. It's going to go through your whole database, and it's going to tell you how many times it found the word Turner in which field. And then if you're like, oh, I know it was in, this one, you can take these off and narrow it down and then just hit search and it'll bring them all back. Okay. Now, custom queries, which are one of my personal favorites, we're not going to get into that today. We're going to have a specific webinar on how to create a custom query. And that one I'm going to send out with the invitation is give me an example of a query that you want to build, and I will use your example in the webinar to build the query for you. Okay? All right. One thing that I'm not sure everybody knows about is the ability to export things into Excel. Let's go back to that scenario. Hey, Tina, how many guns do we have? Sorry, I'm using your name in vain there, Tina, but I just spent last week with her, so Tina's on my brain. You're looking for firearms that are in, and you hit enter. Go, Chief, we have 111 of them. Or you can see all 111 if you want. But Chief says, well, that's awesome, Tina, but I want some very specific information about those. So let's first talk about when you run a query, there's all sorts of things you could do with that query. Maybe you wanted to transfer them all. Maybe you needed them to go into a property report and it sorts it out by, you know, the guns that are in each case. Maybe you need the chain of custody for each 111 of them. Maybe you want to put them into this graph, that's the word, graph, that shows you how old those guns are. Or the chief said, I want to know how long we've had them, what kind of crime they were involved in, make, model, caliber, serial number, was it a crime gun? So the easiest thing to do to give him that information would be, let's push it into Excel. If you don't have it on your toolbar, it's under Tools, and you click on Export, and it's Quick Export. I put mine on my toolbar, and instead of calling it Quick Export, I called it Excel, you know, because that's what it is, Excel. So I'm going to click on that. Now we're going to put in the information that the chief asked for. Up at the top, these are the things that the system automatically documents, like where it is and who created it and when it was last moved and that kind of thing. Let's put in the barcode and let's put in where it is. Now, let's actually put in the created date. No, not that one. Let's put in the date collected. Down here on the bottom, these are all those fields that are on your profile screen. So Chief wants case number and item number. He also wants what type of crime it was. Let's put in the date it was collected. And then let's see if there's an owner. We'll throw an owner last name in there. Then let's say he wants to know the gun type, brand, model, serial number. Was it recovered, stolen? Okay. Now, this is just sort of a one time on the fly. I don't need to do this again. You can just click on export, okay? But if you're like, I know I'm going to use this over and over and over, maybe you want to set up a template, one like say for your drug destructions, because I know that in California, you have to separate it out by the type of drug, right? Or maybe you want to set one up for your money deposit or one for your gun trades, whatever. Then you would just come here and say, I want to save this export, and you'll give it a name. And I'll show you how to do that here in a second. So I'm just going to export this. And this is going to be Wenatchee PD's Chief Gun Report. I'm going to save it. So it took the 111 records of those guns, and then we decided what information goes on there based on what the chief wanted. And now it pops it up here in Excel, and then you can go massage it and switch it around. And if it was a money one, then you can change this column to money and have it total and that kind of thing. But let's say that we ran this and these are the guns that are ready to be purged. So I've already set up a template for it. I called mine export template. For yours, it says tools, export current set, means the current set of records. I put it on my toolbar and I just said export the group. So I want to export this current set of records, and then this is going to give me all of those templates that I've already set up. This is our gun destruction. So I'll call this gun destruction of February of 2025. Gun. Now I click on export, and it already knows what fields to include because you set it up in your template, right? And so then it just takes this current one that you ran and it puts it in that template. And now you've got those ready for your gun destruction. So that's a little tutorial on Excel. We have 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure we address questions that have been asked. And then if we don't have a lot, I can go back and cover a couple other topics. But Chad, what do we have as far as questions?
So I have one question from Mona, asking if you can go through evidence destruction memos and how to search for whether the evidence was obtained via a search warrant and how to track destruction of evidence.
Oh, wow, that's a loaded one. Thanks, Mona. Whew. Okay. So first of all, did it come from a search warrant, right? If, and I'm guessing you might be in California. So for all of those non-Californians, in California, if they see something pursuant to a search warrant, they have to have a court order before they can dispose of it, release it, anything at all. So one of the things that I ask agencies when we're first, putting your profile together is, do you need to know if this came from a search warrant? And if they say yes, I recommend that they put something like a checkbox that says search warrant, or you could have search warrant date or search warrant number. So then what I would do is I would put search warrant in your browse fields. So I'm just gonna click on this here. I don't think I have it in my browse fields. You know what? I think this would be a good, I can just show you. So I'm gonna go into the profiler. This is a good example of how you can go in and put something into browse permanently, or you can just put it in there for a certain project you're working on. Let's say you're working on this gun project and you really need make, model, caliber, serial number, search warrant, etc., but it's not normally in your browse fields. So to make your project easier, I'm going to come over and if you just click on a field, see how you've got the little dots around it, or squares, I guess they're squares. Down here at the bottom right, see how it says there's a line that says appear in browse? I'm going to put a check mark there. And on this search warrant, I'm going to put appear in browse. So now I'm going to come up and I am going to save this. Yep. Okay. Now I made changes, so I'm just going to log out of my database and log back in, and it will recognize these changes I made. So then, Mona, if I come in here and let's say I want all of my guns that are in, pending destruction, okay, and then I go to browse. Now, if you come over here, and it has search warrant in browse now, so I'm going to click here, and oh, here's all the ones that were from a search warrant. So now you could grab just those and say, I got to have a court order for these. So one thing you could do is maybe put it into Excel, and then in your court order it says see attached list. Maybe you want to put it into, where's my list? Maybe you want to put it here and say guns for order, and you wanted to put it in this list, and then you have the list of the guns. And then, so what was the second part of that? I got how to do the search warrant, you could print it out, and then there was something else after that. What was that, Chad?
How to track destruction of evidence.
How to track destruction. So like it was destroyed and you want to know that it was destroyed, is that right? I would have a custom query. Oh, I took it out of there. Let me put it in my, go to my manager. Let's see, items. I would create one that just says items destroyed. We've got time, I'll do this. So let's say items destroyed, okay? The criteria for that would be that the location, the current location of the item is in destroyed. And then I want not just everything, but I want to know when was it destroyed. So I'm going to come down and say that that transfer date, the date that I put it in destroyed is, and then I would just say between, and then I would say prompt when you run it. I'm going to add that because that way when you run it, you could say what was destroyed last week, last month, last year, last quarter, right? And then when you hit search, you can put in your date range. I have no clue what I've even got in here, so bear with me. So then it just brings back everything that was destroyed in that date range. Is that what you're basically talking about, is how do you go back again and find out what was destroyed? I think
she hasn't followed up with that question yet, so.
Okay, so Mona, do me a favor, just send me an email or give me a call and let's talk through your unique situation, okay? Here's one thing that I wanted to show you that's kind of fun. We put this together about 1.5 years ago. I was at an agency in California and they said, we need to know what we got rid of last year, but we wanted to destroyed, return to owner, auctioned, that kind of thing. They would have had to run, individual queries, what was destroyed, what was, etc. But I set up a query that just said, show me everything that was destroyed show me everything that went to a final location last year, which includes pretty much everything that's gone and is never coming back. I have a screenshot of it here on a PowerPoint, so I'll just bring it up right here. Okay, this one. So this pie chart over here, the query was everything that went to a final location in a specific period of time. And then the report showed, oops, hold on just a second. Here we go. The report showed a pie chart. So blue was auctioned, these were destroyed, this was released to the owner, this went to the Secret Service, this went to another agency. So all they had to do is build one query, and then the pie chart just gives you where it went. If any of you are interested in that, holler at me and I'll let you know what needs to be done to get that. Another one that I did for the same agency, they wanted to know what came in last year, but I want to know what was evidence found, safekeeping for destruction. So same concept was show me everything that was created last year, and then it went into this pie chart that sorted it out by what it was. Oops, sorry. You can even have like, what's it called? Court surrendered, and that type of thing. Okay. All right. Chad, any other questions?
They're coming in fast and furious here.
Yay.
I've had a couple questions about the profiler and browse. Would you mind going back to your profiler and showing people where they can set those fields to appear in browse?
Yes. So profiler, you're not going to access it from within this desktop client. It's actually a tool that's installed on your computer. You have to have permission to get into it. So I just go up to down to my search, and I just type the word profiler. And if it pops up with like a CSI icon from the internet, that means you don't have profiler on your computer, and you can just ask your IT people to install those admin tools on your computer. So I'm going to log in. Sad day when you can't remember your own name. There we go. So I'm going to click on this tab right here that says fields. So these are the fields that you have on your screen. If you click on one of those fields, it puts the little boxes around it. And then down below, this tells you about it. On the left, you know what it's called, the case number, where it is, that kind of thing. Don't mess with this too much. Over here on the right, though, this tells you the settings. So like a lot of agencies, when they have like name fields and stuff like that, they will have it just automatically default to uppercase. So no matter what the person types, when they hit save, it's going to go to uppercase anyway. Carry forward, that's where when you create another item in the same case, it just brings that information over. This is the one right here where it says appear in browse. So if you want to have, say, the money total shows in browse, it's right here. You just put it on there. If I had the, let's see, I put this in browse before. I don't need it in browse anymore. My search warrant project, I'm done with that. So I can take that out of browse, okay? Then you just come up to the file menu and click on save, and asks you a whole bunch of questions. Yes, yes, yes. Are you sure? Did you ask your mother? That kind of thing. Then you've made these setting changes. So to see the setting changes, all you need to do is just log out and then log back in, and it recognizes what the new rules are about what fields display. So then when you run any kind of query, when you click on browse, then you're going to see those in that list. Now, another thing too is people asked about, can I adjust where these are in browse? They will appear in browse in tab order, in the order they appear on your screen, okay? But if just for right now, you're like, I need to take this item type and I need to drag it over here, you can do that just for the time being, and it will just be there for that one session. When you go back, it'll default to, where it was in the tab order. With LAPD, we kind of fudged a little around on some things, and we moved things that they needed to have right there. We moved the tab order so it would show sooner. Does that help you understand how to do that? Now, one thing I do want to give you is a little bit of a caution. If you know the profiler tool and you know it really, really well, knock yourself out. If you've never used it and you need some help, we would rather you call instead of make some type of setting that is going to require a lot of undoing. Because like if you change the name of a field and some of those kinds of things, if it's using that field, say in a custom query, or it's using it in a report, it's going to break the report or break the query. So like I said, I think I should have maybe a mini webinar, half hour, about how to use the profiler tool. Alrighty, sorry, long answer. Chad, if you need to go, you are welcome to drop off. If you have more questions and you would like to stay, I am happy to answer them, okay? Remember, this will be recorded. What you got, Chad?
So, and I think you already said this, we've had a few questions about building custom queries, and I think you said you're going to do another
yes.
Webinar just on those. So those of you who put questions in for custom queries, Shannon will do another webinar, or you can, if you need them sooner rather than later, you can reach out to the training team, and Bruce or I would be happy to help with that.
Right.
Inventories. We have a question from Tessa. She says, right now when we print media, it is the worst bingo game ever because it's all out of order. Could you go over inventories?
It's all out of order?
I'm wondering if their report may not have it sorted properly.
Oh, okay. You know what, just very quickly, and I think let's make a note. Let's have that be another webinar topic, okay? But let me show you very quickly inventory report. If you're not happy with the inventory report, just reach out to support@fileonq.com. Let's take a look at what it looks like and then change it. So when you run a report and you close out your, an inventory, you close out your inventory, you have a couple options. It asks you, would you like a summary report? And it's very simple, what was missing, what's accounted for, what's there but not supposed to be there. Or you also have a detailed report. This is the one that maybe I'm thinking you said is out of order. It tells you what is missing, and it has a line item for each one. We can make sure it goes in, if you want it in case number order, if you want it in barcode order, we can have it display in whatever order you want. Then it also tells you everything that's accounted for, and then anything that you scanned, but it's in the wrong location. Okay. One thing I wanted to, I saw on the question thing here, it said, does it log if someone removed it from the request monitor? Sort of yes and no. If, let's see, I'm gonna just find this item right here. Oh, see how this has one request? It's in the request monitor, and so it pops up. If you go in and delete it from the request monitor, it doesn't tell you who deleted it. However, if you go to that show audit from that record, it is going to show you when that request was submitted. So on August 29th, Shannon Turner came in, she submitted a request that said, this is authorized for release, and I put in all my notes and everything. And then you might see the next, you know, they sent the letter, and then it was released to the owner. So it's always, though, documenting that the request was made. Okay. Does that help you? I hope. Okay.
All right.
What else do we got?
Shannon, can you go to query by current location and show how you can start typing a location and get to it without having to scroll through the entire
yes.
list?
Yeah, a lot of people are like, I don't like scrolling that whole list. Okie dokie. Let's go to query by current location. If I know that it's like pending something, I'm going to just start I just started typing P for pending. See how you've got these fields? So if I click in the code field, and I start typing, it is looking in the code field. If I click inside the name field and I start typing, it's looking in the name field. If I go to the comments field, then it is, I will start, do I have anything in comments? I don't know if I do or not. Let me look. Oh, here we go. So you could start typing in the comments field. You can also come over and sort by, you know, these as well. So you could say, I'm just looking for everything in, you know, these locations, and hit that, you know, hit search, and it brings them back. And then if you clicked on browse, you could then sort by those locations and choose which ones they wanted. Like we did with Tina last week, we said, show me what's in bin 1. Well, there was like 1,000 things in bin 1. So we sorted by case number, and then we just printed 1 year at a time of those cases. Every one of your drop downs, you do not have to scroll. You can just start typing ahead. If I'm looking for Mike Nelson, I just start typing NEL. Now I could hit the down arrow on my keyboard, you know, to get to Mike Nelson, or you could just, you know, do NEL and choose from the list, that kind of thing. Okay, what else?
Excuse me. Can you discuss the automated dispositions? We have a question. How do you set up electronic dispositions, which I'm assuming Laura means automated dispositions? And is there a way to keep them electronic for the CA's office once an officer has signed off?
That is a loaded question that I can answer in 10,000 words or more.
Yes.
Maybe we could have a webinar on doing dispositions, or if you would like to just give us a call and talk to us, because everybody does it differently. Some of them, you do some initial research and then you send it to the officer. Some you just send it to the prosecutor's office. Sometimes you get the research or the sentencing information from the court. So call us and we will talk through your very specific, unique needs and help you set up your dispo process.
All right. Let's see. Is there a way to search for items? Oh, no, I already got that one. is there a way to flag evidence is closed at the end of its retention? Which there was also another question about retention. Could you hit on retention briefly?
Right. So we have a built-in retention feature. And again, every agency uses this differently. Some of them say, we want to have the retention be based off the severity of the crime. So if it's a misdemeanor, it comes up after a year. You know, if it's a sex offense, it's 5 years. And other agencies just say, we review cases every 2 years, regardless of what kind of case it is, just to find out what's going on. So the first is you'll set up your retention codes here. Now, if you are on version 8, that retention period will automatically be assigned by itself. We have a little tool like every night it goes in and says, show me all the records that don't have a review date assigned to it, and it assigns that review date. If you're on an older version like 7 or 6, you're doing that manually. And so you're going to have a query that says, that is called retention review. And it basically shows you, let me show you the logic of it. Retention review, is it this one? Okay, so basically it says, show me everything where that review date that's been assigned to it has already expired. And when I put in date right here, that means the current date. So whenever I run it, if that's expired prior to today, it's going to come up. But you'll also see, oh, I should fix this one too. I also weeded out anything that's already gone or that's already ready to go out the door, because that means I've already done the dispo research. So then when I run it, it brings up those, here's those 81 items. Does that help? And again, Michael, please reach out to us to training, and we will do a little meeting with you and see what you've got and help you get that set up. I saw Connie had something on here that says, if I build a list, how do I sort in case number? So anytime you have a list, if you go to browse and then you just sort by case number, it goes oldest to newest. If you click again, newest to oldest. Okay. All right, we'll just do a couple more minutes and then I will be happy to reach out. We'll have these questions afterwards and we can divide and conquer, me and Chad and Bruce and whoever. We can reach out and answer your questions one-on-one. Anything else that is urgent before we sign out and say thank you, everybody?
Will you provide emails for support, Shannon, training, etc.?
Yep. Do you want me to put that in the chat?
I can list that under Mona's question here.
That would be lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, no sweat. So I will put Shannon's email, I'll put the training and the support email in here for everybody.
Awesome.
For access.
And we promise that we are going to have a lot more webinars. 2024 was an interesting year, let's just put it that way. And in 2025, we would like to have a webinar, at least 6 or 7 webinars, because I want you to use this system to the fullest and not be frustrated. And anytime you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us, okay? All right. Well, this was fun. We had 100 and bazillion people here today, and I surely hope it helped. And thank you so much. We're here to help you.
And one more thing before everybody goes. Speaking of webinars, we have a webinar that's going to be next week. We're partnered up with the International Association of Property and Evidence for that webinar. And I've put that into the chat there, so you can click on that and get registered. This class is going to be really turning your property room, if it's chaotic with storage, proper storage, not sure how to store, not sure how to put things where they need to be in an organized way, IEP is going to be helping with this, and they're going to empower you to be able to do that more effectively. And we're very excited to have them do this, where it's going to be a great class. So again, that's going to be next week, and the link is right in there if you want to get registered for that. So we hope to see you there. And then outside of that, Shannon, do you have anything you wanted to mention about platform or anything like that before we head out?
No, just I guess if you aren't on our subscription program, maybe reach out and say, hey, tell me a little bit about your subscription, and I'll be happy to chat with you.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. And there's a brief survey at the end here. If you can let us know how we did, that would be great. And also give us the opportunity to suggest classes you'd like to see in the future, because we want to do more of these more consistently to help you out. Have a great day. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Chad.
Yeah.
Great job. And we'll see you
All
soon.
right. Thanks, guys. All right. Bye-bye.